And so I need it time. It doesn't matter day or night. I need giving you right and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can't talk about. Get ready to start the show. Sharing with Shani, and you know we're gonna talk. Ordinary people and next an ordinary God. Check the reference in Ephesians 5. We walking in the light, and we're living in love. You know what, Shani, we gonna keep it intact, cause every Monday got it coming. Yeah, we coming right back. So act like you know we get it on and popping at the Shani Show. You can talk to Shani anytime. It doesn't matter day or night. Shani, giving you light and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can talk about with Shani.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Sharing with Shani Show. I am your host, Shani, and we are here live with Ty Scott King, and of course, my co-host, Mika Fresh. And as I'm changing the settings to the live so I can tag y'all.
Thank you.
We are 20 minutes late this evening because Shani was asleep. Because
good sleep.
You ever do that? You ever take a nap, but you hear your surroundings, and I heard Steve Harvey, and so in my mind, because they Family Feud was playing, right, and I was like, you got to get up before the 8:00 news or the channel that Steve Harvey comes on, right? I didn't hear Steve Harvey's name. I didn't hear him anymore. And I was just like, so there was a period where I no longer heard my surroundings. And I'm like, something's not right. So, what are you doing tonight?
That just sounded some good sleep to me.
It was so good. I'm not even gonna lie. Well, thank you for your grace and your patience. We're just gonna get right into it. I am so excited. Ty Scott is not a stranger to this show. She's been on here before, and we're really excited to have her. And so Ty, welcome. So we will get into all of the particulars and all of that in a minute, but Mika, can you start us off? What are you thinking of a wellness whisper tonight?
Well, I don't know if it's gonna come out all eloquent, but really been on like faith talk and just people understanding the power that they have in their tongue, right? Our thoughts and stuff. So I don't know, maybe I said it before, but just watch what you say. We are rounding up our 43rd church anniversary. Excuse me, pastor church anniversary. And the last night preacher man said, if you don't like what you see, then change what you say. And so I'm still chilling on that, because that was a lot. I don't know if everybody got it. I did. And I was like, absolutely. Because sometimes when we talk about faith, if for the non-believers, the positive affirmations, because that's really what it is, right? It's a form of it. We don't really necessarily be believing. Like, we say it sounds good, but when you really dig into it and you ask people, especially like when I'm doing my life strategist job, when I have my life strategist hat on, the barrier, the wall is really people don't believe because they don't see. So we got to talk about faith, and that is not a simple topic for a lot of people. So if I would like to prompt people to, check in on your faith levels and watch what you say.
Okay.
Can't hear you.
And I got to get off, I had to get off mute. I agree with everything that you said.
Mhm.
And I also feel like we are in we touched on this last week, but I think there might be a conversation to be had about hope.
Mhm.
I think our hope just in ourselves and in each other is completely lost.
Mm.
I was talking with someone in the last 24 hours that was like, it was a difference of opinion. I could just say it. It was my former husband. But
Mhm.
we having this disagreement about, we having a co-parenting moment, and his philosophy to relying on yourself is just contradictory to everything I believe in.
Mhm.
I think we were made to rely on each other. Of course, relying on God first, but
Mhm.
we were made to rely on each other, to be in community. And I just had a hard problem accepting it. And then, he got all in his little mood
Mhm.
because I don't agree with him. And it's like, it's not that I don't like that. Reliance is a big part. It's part of my faith formation. So I take a big issue with the words you say. And then it goes back to Mika about saying when words have power.
Mhm.
So you can't sit here and say, my kids should not rely on me. That's a big statement in and of itself. And
Mhm.
so I want you to be careful when you say those things, and so you don't have to go back and say, I didn't mean that. Because,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And that is that's a big topic. The age group that I work with, primarily the adolescents, I tell them that, but I find myself saying this to adults too. It's like, first of all, by the time we're adults, we have developed a lot of bad habits, and our vocabulary is one of them, because a lot of us don't pay attention. We haven't been prompted to pay attention. It just is what it is. How we communicate is really important. And I noticed that a lot of us have inherited, things from those who came before us, right? Our parents, grandparents, people that kind of have a strong influence in our community. And it's not always the positive ones either. So because we've been, talking for so long, and because we don't like conflict, we don't tend to address the other person if, when they're not speaking life into something. So people get away with speaking the way they speak for so long, they don't notice those unhealthy speaking habits. They don't notice it. When you point it out, it feels so foreign to them, because that has gotten them through their life for however many years they are now. And so now you have the problem, right? It's like, well, I don't know what you talk about. Nobody ever told me I don't, speak life, or I have a negative tongue or negative Ned or whatever. You just like, okay, I'm telling you. And it's a rude awakening. It's uncomfortable, it's disheartening, and it's confusing. So I try to keep those things in mind when I do challenge people with that, including myself. It is a work in progress, because we have built up these habits. And you have the habits, and when things get hard and crunchy, you revert back to those habits. So it's important to build healthy, good habits. And so
Yeah.
when, to me, there's no excuse of, well, I was angry and that's why I said it. Well, let's review that. Let's really talk about that. You're not gonna sit here and tell me I was angry and that's why I said it, as if you have no control over what comes out of your mouth when you're angry. That's a feeling
Yes.
that's comfortable for you, but you do have control over how you're feeling and what you say, even in the midst of being angry. Again, it's what you've been able to do and what you've gotten away with. It does require self-control and discipline, but even bigger than that, I feel like it requires some empathy and consideration. I'm never going to retract that. I don't like superlatives. I work very hard at watching what I say, even when I'm upset. Now, with that being said, I am not perfect, and I will say I have said some mean things that I absolutely meant. It wasn't by mistake, right? So working on that. It was not like, oh, I only said that because I was mad. No, I said it because I meant it. But I'm working on that too. I don't want to mean it.
Do you do because I want to think that I am more cognizant and careful of what I say when I'm in relationship with someone.
Mm-hmm.
But when I know that I'm about to exit out,
you'd be like, all cards on the table.
yeah, I've got. And if that's something I need to work on, y'all can tell me. But that's kind of.
I would say yes. You want to know why? You want to know why? Because again, it is we're creating with those words, right? And so it's about
yes,
yeah.
And because of the work that I do, I have to mean what I say, right?
Yes.
I cannot sit there, especially with the audience that I feel like God has entrusted me with and I'm responsible for, to not mean what I say, right? To not have to backtrack a statement or what have you, right? So I'm very aware of my words, because if I stand on the fact that one of my scriptures for the social justice work that I do is we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimony. So when I tell my story, number one, the story gotta be the truth. I can't be out here telling a story that is not my testimony. And I gotta mean what I say. So I have worked really hard with really, in a sense, applying those techniques and listening skills, active listening skills, and my response to what I hear in a very thoughtful and curious way, especially on the things because I don't go in like complete attack mode. And I want to be clear, even with my former spouse, I think our communication has gotten better post-marriage because of the work that I do. Because I want to understand, I rather be in that tension moment that you spoke of earlier, of the tension of misunderstanding, before I go to judgment. Right. And I think a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to understand what the person is trying to say, and we go straight to judgment. I try to do that. But you're saying I need to work on giving my 2 cents when I know it's about to be over. Yeah. And another thing.
Right. I'm gonna share why. I personally and spiritually feel like that's planting the seed for it's leaving space for energy that I don't have time for, that I don't want to have time for. I don't. Also, we talked about this before. I used to be really petty And so for me, I won't say I used to be really petty. I'm going to say I have the capacity to be that way, but it's not like a second nature thing. I have to choose to go there. I'm really good at it though, so I don't choose to go there because I have to ask myself, nothing to be proud about. I'm not proud about it. But I do have to ask myself, like, what I really do always want people to see like God's light in me. I just do. That's my biggest desire. So my 2 cents usually ain't God's light. Right? It's like, it's Tamika, it's my flesh. And so that's a contradiction. And so, and it gets real easy to get in that space. So I don't want to allow it, right? Like I can, again, we fall back into habits. So we have to create like better habits. So I'm working, right? That's the work that I do, is just creating better habits. And I find myself be like, you know what? And what I know what nothing. I love you so much. Like I do have to force myself to say nicer things. Like I will do it on purpose. Nicer things that really feel like I'm about to throw up. You just I love you. You said that like it hurt, because it did. In this moment, it hurt for me to say that. But I'm gonna say it anyway, because it's way better than what, I wanted to say, what was easier to say. And the reason for that is I'm still creating an environment when I give those 2 cents. And then also, why wasn't I saying this before? Why I want to wait until, an altercation, the end of, we should have been talking about this stuff a long time ago. It's no point for me to say it now. You can do on what I'm telling you, even in my pettiness, it's still good stuff. See what I'm saying? You see how easy that is? I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm really good at this. So I have to work harder to overcome that part of me.
I want to get Ty in here because, she uses her words all the time.
All the time.
Ty Scott is a spoken word artist, believer, just a beautiful soul, rapper, Christian rapper. And so thoughts on what we've just been sharing. I don't really have a number one question for you.
No. I agree. And I was like waiting for a chance to get in like double dutch. So I
was getting ready to tell you got to get in like double dutch. I was just about to say that, and I was not good at it, so I never got in.
You didn't really get
in. Those.
You got to overcome your fears and just go for it. That's how you get in. You got to accept that the rope is going to hit you and you're going to persevere.
Amen.
I agree with what Mika was saying. Like, it's at the end of the day, the Bible says that whatever things are pure, whatever things are just, whatever things are holy, like, speak on those things. And I've definitely over the years had a smart mouth that God has had to like process me through and is still processing me through. So my brain and my mind, I'm saying so many things.
Hello.
But even that, because our thoughts become our words, become our actions, right? So we have to even watch what we're thinking. But I don't think that you should be nice to people because of what they can do for you or because of what you can get back from them. But I do think about the fact that if I say this thing and a year from now, a day from now, a month from now, a century from now, this person is the person that's going to be holding the glass of water that I need. Will they give it to me based on what I'm about to say or how I'm about to say it? It's the packaging. So I think we should be very aware of the way that we package things. And I'm like learning a lot of that from being married. It's like, okay, I come from a big family, 6 siblings, 2 parents, mom, dad, stepdad, all the people that you could have in this blended family. And my husband comes from a smaller family. They don't like really talk much. So we're loud and we're boisterous. And when I have a problem, I'm like, okay, I don't want to deal with this tomorrow. Let's deal with this now. And so we have different like relational communication styles. And so I have to learn a lot with him. And it's teaching me a lot about how to process and communicate with other people. Like, okay, just take a step back and remember that this person wasn't raised in the same house as you. This person didn't grow up. No, this person isn't in your head, you know? And what do you want him to feel? And like, how do you want him to feel after you say these things? Like, you can be super sharp with your tongue and it might satisfy you for a minute, but be real. You're going to be sad. You're going to have to go back and apologize. Like, do you want to go through all of that? And even if it's a person that's like, I'm never going to see this person again. Like, God has really been convicting me about being nicer to like customer service representatives on the phone. So I'm like, I try to start out by being like, look, I know it's not you. I know it's not you. Like, I try to say that a lot, but I'm like, I'm upset. Yes. So I'm gonna raise my voice, but please don't take it personally. You know, so just working on like self-control. Cause like y'all were saying,
that's a good word.
Being mad doesn't give you license to just be crazy and over the top. There's plenty of people in prison for the rest of their lives because they were mad and they didn't know how to control that anger.
You know what else? You know what else really helps me is I know that everybody isn't always in the space to receive such strong feedback. I don't ever want to be responsible for anybody's self-harm, suicide, whether successful or not. Bad. I don't, because I do understand how powerful words are. So like Ty said, how do you want them to feel? And even that can be a challenge within itself, right? Some of us have some growing in that. I want them to feel bad. I want them to know they ain't gonna mess with me. You know, like we have some things to work through. If you just sit there a little bit longer, we don't, right? Good people don't want to make people feel bad. You don't want to be a part of that. You can recognize that you were angry in that moment. And yeah, you might think it feels good to have somebody else be angry the way that you were. But when you're, when you're a good-hearted person, it doesn't feel good. I know that. So you hear you say like, you don't want to treat people based on like what they could give you. I just feel like, what goes around comes around. I don't want to be eating my words because I probably season them very well, right? Like for the bad. And so I don't really want to get that back. So I just pay attention. I don't want to just pay attention because it's not always easy. There are times where it's like super easy to do it. And there are other times, specifically speaking with a spouse, where it's not easy to do it. You want to get that dig, you want to get that and one, right? But it is really like, I'm a heart person. I care about people's feelings. And so, I also care about how people, like what taste did I leave in their mouth? And because there is, to me, there's a lot at stake. There's a reputation, there's a legacy, there are things that I'm trying to build there. I'm being a vessel, like it's not just about me. I would hate for, especially now, being a clergy member, like I have to where I'm representing not just me anymore. Well, I think it was never just me.
Right.
There's extra people there, my pastor, her reputation, and I just wouldn't be like, oh, I ain't going there because I heard her or I saw her and I don't know. I don't trust their judgment if that's who they're ordaining or, same like with the job. If they got people like that working for them, I don't want to be involved with that company. I don't want to be involved with that business. So it's like it's so easy for us to pop off because we don't typically look at what's happening 5 minutes later. It's always in that moment we're trying to satisfy. But I will say I have always been very, future oriented. Sometimes to a fault, I'm like way ahead in the future. But this is one of those moments where it works well for me, because I'm like, tomorrow, that person, I'm over it. And I usually am over things like super quick, right? But tomorrow that person could be like just despondent, and I had something to do with that. That would make me feel horrible. So I have worked, for years to be so much more respectful and considerate of just that ripple effect, the 5 seconds of whatever came out of my mouth. It didn't stay there. It went, it's traveling, it's continuing.
I agree. I agree with all of that, Mika, because if I have to go into repair, but it is really hard to repair words.
Yeah.
And I say that being someone who was definitely and not just in intimate relationships. There was friendships, right? Like, family members, right? Like, because, people knew that I think people knew that I would not respond. And I didn't respond like I said, but I was the person who would respond when the relationship would be at the end of life, right? I had so much to say. And what I started to find over the years is that my words really did matter, because these same people that took words and did not appreciate them in the way that I did would come back years later and say, but you said this.
Yeah.
I've already moved on. And now God is holding me accountable about what I said. And I'm wondering, have you been accountable? Because you said way a lot of words to me. Right. And then I had to remember that, I can't, that's God's business. Right. How someone else, right? Like, I can't put myself, if this is not a tick for tat, my relationship is to God and God alone. And I can't, whatever God does with other people is God's business, and as far as I'm concerned. But
is that a bitter pill for you? The God business part? Like, not trying to make God's business? Because it is for me sometimes. Like, just to have to say that, I'd be like, that ain't none of my business.
No, it's actually liberation for me. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Good. Because I'm like, wow, God got a lot to do. but stay in my lane and drink my water and mind my business, because God's people, especially when you work with God's people and you realize that God's people be people in.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. I feel like, we talk about like the seeds that you sow. These are seeds. We're all sowing seeds all the time. And what do you want? What do you want your harvest to look like? At the end of the day, I don't want to be just going crazy on you, and then I'm growing this crap in my field and I can't get rid of these weeds. Like, it's just too much work. I'm not good at like growing stuff, like in the physical, like I don't do plants and I don't do well. So I can only imagine what my words are like doing in this field of life. And I just don't want to sow anything that I have to figure out how to deal with. And I know it's on God. I could be like, okay, God, I said this, I didn't mean it. Look, this crazy thing is growing. I can't control it. And he'll tell me how to fix it. But I just feel like I want to spend that time on other things. Like, tell me how to do X, Y, Z that you really put me here to do, God.
Right. Bigger and better to get to.
Like, I think it was a turning point for me when I realized how I lived into that life and death is in the power of the tongue, not just for my own life, but for others. When I realized how powerful that is, and that we are the mouthpiece of the Creator. And when I take my last breath and leave this earth, and I want, because I don't know, Ty, if you watched the episode about a year and a half ago when Mika and I was playing at our funeral, and I was like, yeah, I want a 3-day celebration. I want those 2-minute remarks to be like, Shani changed my life. Shani was always full of love and light. Right? I don't want it to be like, oh, she was hell on earth. Because I had an auntie, and by the time she left this side of heaven, when the pastor said she was just a sweet old lady, and we all laughed in the pew because she was not sweet. I want to be her. And so I gotta be mindful, because that's generational. It could very well happen.
Yeah. Reminds me of, what was it, Kingdom Come? Isn't that it? With LL Cool J, Jada Pinkett, and all of them. Yeah. It's like,
yes,
he was surly. Just, Whoopi had enough. Y'all saying all these nice things. That man was nasty. Yeah.
Because I hope that they are, I hope, I say all that to say, I hope that there is transparency at my homegoing or homecoming. Like, I hope that people can talk, and it be and let the life I live speak for me. Like, that's the song that I want played, right? So, but oh, it's an old song. I gotta find it.
I don't recognize that.
Yeah.
I probably need to listen to more than like Thai tribute.
Yeah.
I do. I'm playing with y'all. I don't know that song.
Yeah, I don't know that song either.
It's pretty old. I'm old. I got old soul when it comes to my music, especially spirituals and gospel.
Church that I go to now, when I first got there, I promise you, and they're like the remix kings too. I used to be like, what song is that? It used to have me questioning my saveness. I used to be like, am I saved? Like, did I grow up in church? I don't know none of these songs. Yeah. Gotta expand my music library or something.
Okay. So question, Mika. Can you not Mika, I'm sorry, Ty. I brought you on here because I love you and all of that stuff, but you posted something of I can't remember the exact post, but you was like, April is National Poetry Month, and I was like, you should come on to close out April for us, and that's how you got on. That's how you got on the show. So I want to talk about, which is a great segue, about how you've used your platform in a way that speaks life into people with your spoken word and your rap and all the things that you do. That's so dope.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I would say it's by God's grace, because I didn't grow up going to church. When y'all talk about these classic, let me not say old, classic songs, I too am like, I got no clue. But I grew up writing. And so once I became a Christian in my early 20s, it was like, a lot of people have the backstory that they're like, yeah, I was doing XYZ in the world. And I started out, I had been writing, but I hadn't really done anything. Like, I hadn't recorded. I hadn't been on like these stages. So thankfully, I don't have like this whole catalog that I'm like trying to hide from people, where I was talking about knucking and bugging and all other stuff, right? Even though that was my life, I wasn't putting anything out about it. And so as a new Christian with Christian friends who weren't doing music at all, they were great Christians who had other, callings on their lives. It just seemed apparent to me early on that I was supposed to like use the gift for his glory. Like once I realized, oh, God gave me this gift is supposed to make room for me. Like, okay, it can make room for me in the church. It can make room for me in the club. It can make room for me in the blah, blah, blah. Like, but it's the gift. Like, it's not me. It's not, oh, Ty is just so awesome and she's so great. Cause I'm working on that whole, like, you know, having a personality that people are like, oh, okay, Ty is cool. Smokers were all like, oh, I thought you were quiet, or I thought you were so serious. I'm like, guys, no, I'm not sure who you thought I was.
It was so
But
funny when we first met. When we first met, well, you know, we met through Publisher Gift. Shout out to the other Ty, my mentor and friend. And you were probably on staff for maybe like it was a couple months, and just in regular conversation, Ty was like, do you follow Ty on Facebook? She's like really dope, but she's so quiet. And I was like, nah. So then I was like, well, let me go follow Ty on Facebook. And I never told you this, but like you took forever to accept my friend request. And I was like, oh, she don't want to follow. This was all to myself. I never went back to Ty to say, she don't want to follow me. I just was like, you know, only child syndrome, FOMO, left out. And then it was pure joy. It was almost like celebrity fan to the 10th power. The day that you accepted my friend request, I was like, she's following me now. I was so excited. And then I could get the Ty is so dope vibe. Like, I was like, she is dope. And then, of course, I downloaded all your albums. And I have not done this, but like, this is no lie. Also, I'm like, you know, when I do my first conference, I'm coming. It used to be Jill Scott. I was going to always come out to Golden, right? And I think I did at my last book signing, or I wanted to, and the DJ messed it up. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But
that's undoing.
Like, I'm coming into a Ty Scott King song. I've already put that in my head because I just think you're amazing.
Thank you, Shani. Sorry it took me so long to accept your friend request. On Facebook, I don't know why. On Facebook, I just have a lot of friend requests, and I'm not saying it like, oh, I'm so amazing. I just do. It's like I started out on Facebook and they were just there already. So I never feel like I've never caught up. So,
I get it.
I'm still catching up. But yeah, it's just a blessing to be able to like have a gift, see what it can, like, God opened doors with it my whole life, but then really not know him. So not know that that's what it was such a aha, like connection moment to be able to say, oh man, this gift that I've been using since I was 8 years old, this is what it's for. And it like all came together. Cause I knew from the time I was little, like I wanted to teach. I was writing poetry. I was doing music. I just didn't have like a course to say like, okay, this is the purpose. Like, I mean, you know, everybody wishes they had like the exact roadmap. I don't have that, but it's good to know that God is like, okay, this is the gift I've given you and I will continue to use it to open doors for you. So I'm just like, okay, Lord, I'm just expecting that you'll open the door. I'll stand in the hallway. I might cry. I might slide down the door and be like, when are you going to open it, God, please?
I like that.
But I'm gonna wait because I believe it. I believe the gift will continually make room.
Yeah. We've had, oh yeah, go ahead, Mika, go ahead.
Was that gift always encouraged? Like, were people around you always support that particular gift, specifically when you did, you know, become a believer, Christian?
Yeah, my whole family. So I have, as I said earlier, I have 5 siblings and my parents just very supportive. My mom was a single mom for a few years. So it was always like I don't know if they had like some kind of group thing going where they were like, okay, you go support her on this day and you go support her on that day. Because I always had some like music thing at school. I went to school of art, so there was always something. But I can say there was never a time where my mom and siblings or somebody was always there to support, super supportive. And by the time I got to 10th grade, I tried out for high school, the arts, and I didn't get in. So I was depressed. And I don't think, looking back, I see that that's what it was, but I didn't know that that's what I was going through. But thankfully, I had friends who kind of pulled me out of my shell and got me involved in other things. And then by the time I became a Christian, my friends were very supportive. I think I had one or two encounters because I had gotten like very extreme, like very legalistic for a minute. Like, because I'm like, okay, I'm trying to balance out all the crazy hell raising I was doing. You know, that was my mindset. I didn't understand that it was grace and all these things I just didn't know as a new Christian. So I do feel like I ran some people away, and they were kind of like, oh, what is she like? How is she going to be now? What's her music going to be like? What's her poetry going to be like? Who's she going to grow into? So I think early on, there were probably some people that were kind of like, I'm not sure, but nobody ever just like, nobody ever said, I'm just not going to support you in this. Everybody pretty much stayed on board, and they were like, okay, still now my family will show up to, they're probably watching right now. It's been a blessing to have like that encouragement, because no one in my family had done this road before me. So to be the first, but to have everybody rally and just show so much love, I'm grateful.
Yeah. That's awesome. We've had Christian artists on the show before, and I think I've asked this question of what would it take? Because I feel like this is a genre that is definitely underserved, right? It's not, you only have like your 1% of Christian rappers that get radio play, and they're not women, though. You know, I mean, and so, what do you think needs to happen for that to change?
I think the same thing that happened in the secular rap industry or music industry. Unfortunately, the men have to stand up and say, she is dope. She's doper than this person, that person, that person. I'll put her up against anybody. Like that continual bolstering from the males is what's going to project it to the next level. And even on the non-Christian side, there's still this, you know, wage gap and all these opportunities that women don't get. I think that's just a society issue as a whole. But when it comes to music, Christian music, and I get a lot of support that I'm grateful for. And there are a lot of indie artists who are getting a lot of radio play, all that stuff. It may not be like the majors, you know, maybe the college scene, maybe the underground scene, all that stuff. So it's happening, but to push it to the next level, like to have more Wandays. For anybody who doesn't know, Wande is the first female to be signed to Reach Records, which is a Christian hip hop label that Lecrae started. To have more Wandays, more men like Lecrae need to say, I co-sign for her. And there, I mean, there's AI, the Anomaly. There are definitely one or two that are signed to like bigger labels in the Christian world. But for it to really spark the way it should, because there are a lot of women who are in the industry on the Christian side, really holding it down and doing amazing things and lyrically can stand toe to toe with anybody. It just takes that community to really raise up people.
Would you consider, I mean, because you put out like, how many albums do you have, Ty? Like, or do you even call the EPs albums? Because they all albums to me. So
I put out 2 albums. I put out 2 full albums, E320 and Kings and Queens. They both had like 10, 11 tracks on them. And then since 2015, I've just been putting out singles. And people have asked me about like, well, why did you just start doing singles? And it wasn't because that's what everybody else was doing. I just have been wanting to like take my time. I didn't want to have to put together this project where it's like, it has this string of things, you know, like it's like writing a book. That I just wanted to be able to put out singles. Today I feel like putting out a poetry single. Tomorrow I feel like rapping. Tomorrow I feel like rapping and singing. Like, I just wanted to be able to weave these individual things that can stand on their own. But I do think an album is coming again.
Awesome. And do you think that, but you know, being independent gives you that flexibility and that creative control though, right? Like
Yes.
you're not beholden to someone saying, well, for you to still be relevant, you need an album.
Yeah, for sure. I've been on a label. I was on a label. I was in a group for about 8 years. I started a group and we had a lot of amazing success. And we were on a label. It was a Christian label started by an ex-NFL player. And I mean, there was a lot of money put into us and a lot of open doors and opportunities, but it was frustrating. It was frustrating to be on a label because there are just a lot of decisions that you can no longer make for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a pretty independent thinker. You know, God gives me a vision and I'm ready to go with it. And I'm not saying I can't like get in line, but I just wasn't, for one, they were like, oh, you have locks, you can never cut them. I mean, I didn't intend to, but it's like, come on, never. I can't ever, like, people see you this way and this is the only way. Some days I'm gonna wear heels, some days I'm gonna wear sneakers. Like, I can't be locked into this image that I don't want to sustain all the time. And I think for me, that was really the hardest part. It wasn't, I think we had like good creative reign, but it was more so me as a person. Like, I can't take the dictatorship of who I am on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, no. But
Mika, you got a question?
It's the contrast. Being on a label gives you a lot more opportunities, you know, that a label can fund. But as an indie, I think I've done really well, and God has provided funds for stuff that I'm like, okay, you want to fund my video, like a whole video? I can go to Atlanta and shoot this video. Like, you know, God just always provides. He provides bookings that I use to fund things, and just people who are like, I want to sponsor XYZ. So it's a trade-off.
I love that.
That's dope.
I love that. I love that. God will provide. I mean, yeah, I always think like, you know, this could have went a different way. But then I hear people who are like, you know, it took me 12 years to get my book published. And I immediately think, but why? Because I'm so, you know, I've never, you know, I never waited. I would still be waiting. Do you know how many times, like, I remember, like, this was like 20 years ago when whenever you are trying to go the traditional route, and you gotta send the first 20 pages with an introduction to a publisher. And then it takes forever to get something back. And so before I did that, I sent it to a editor. I went to a book agent who sent me to an editor. And basically she was like, well, if the editor approves, then we can have a call. This was 20 years ago. Well, child, that lady sent back my stuff on a overnight express envelope that I paid for now. And every single paper was read. Now, looking back on it, and I cried for 3 days, right? And looking back on it, I realized that because a couple years ago, I went and reviewed her comments. And there was a point, and I never knew the race or ethnicity of this person, but there was question marks all on the pages. And I felt like it was it was like, how come she doesn't understand that? So 20 years ago, like, I just assumed, like, I had a naivete that was like, well, I didn't really look at it as it being cultural language, if you will. And I'm glad that, and it was fiction too, and I don't even write fiction, but it was, and God was like, this is not what I had you doing, but it was still a learning thing for me. And I just think back on that, like, if I had let that stop me, we wouldn't even be having this show. Like, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. And that was 2003. I remember.
Yep.
Mika, before I encourage Ty to close us out with something, because it is National Poetry Month, do you have any questions?
No, I have feelings. I don't have any questions. No, I heard a lot of similarities though, like for Ty, like your beginning, the age you started, not getting into art school. Yes, arts high. That's actually how we even got to Virginia. I didn't get into the art school, and I was like, well, told you wasn't going to that violent public school, and I can't afford Catholic and private school, so to VA go. But yeah, I don't have any questions. I'm enjoying the conversation. Anytime female MCs are speaking, I'm kind of always just soaking it all in, because we don't get a lot of attention and consideration, which is weird because I know I grew up, in proximity to some of the best female rappers that there are. I lived 2 blocks from Lauryn Hill without even knowing she was Lauryn Hill. No lie. She just did Sister Act 2.
Favorite.
It's back in the day where movies have been out for months before you may have seen it. So it was out for a while, but I'd run into her several times at the corner store. Had no clue who she was. She used to talk to me like a little sister, you're like, hey, you want some chips? And we would hang out and walk up to her block, walk to my block, and we would split. Crazy. Like Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, no lie. Like I grew up, knowing those women, being able to personally witness their skills and their talent. And I don't know, maybe because I've never been a man before. It's just mind blowing to me that gender in any type of setting is a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, who said you rap better just because you're a guy? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So yeah. I like this type of conversation, and it's something that I'm passionate about, especially as a fellow word artist, and it's just all the good stuff. That's it. All the good stuff.
Mika wanted to be a rapper too. Well, she is a rapper. Mika's got bars. I don't even know why we even see him acting like you don't. And can sing.
You know what? So I'd ask you that question, Ty, about the encouragement and stuff like that, because I've always been a writer. My mom was able to keep some stuff, but the things that I have goes back to like me being like 4 years old. Right.
Wow.
My stepdad came into the picture, and his brother was a DJ, and they heard me. I'm in my room minding my business, playing with my Barbies, and I'm like freestyling something and making up songs, something I still do to this day, and my little daughter does it, and like my siblings do it. It's just kind of something that we do. And he was like, I was like banging on different things, making beats. And that led into him buying me this Casio keyboard where I could make beats.
Yeah. Man,
that's on the songs.
That's crazy, because one of my sisters was the one who saw something that I wrote and she asked me like, who wrote this? And I said, oh, me. And just the way that she asked or the way she responded when I said me made me know it was something. And my oldest brother was a DJ. My stepdad, like we had crates up to the ceilings. Like that's still to this day what we do for fun is play music. Like when we get together, we're playing music and we're trying, like guessing who the person is, and we're Jamaican, so it's a lot of reggae. But yeah, I'm glad that you're sharing so much, because it's cool to like identify so many similarities. And I was singing at school, probably walking in the hallway singing, because that's just what I did. And one of my teachers was like, this was I was 8, so probably like 4th grade, 3rd grade. She was like, you need to be in the choir, the chorus, whatever. And I was like, no, because I was very, very shy. I'm 5th of 6, so I'm trying to hide behind everybody, Right. But she was like, no, you need to do that. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful that God allows people to like see in us the things that we may see them, but we may not think it's anything. Like I say this often, and I always laugh when I say it. I thought everybody had a desk in their room, because I was a super nerd. I had a desk in my room. I was always trying to teach somebody something. And I thought everybody was just writing. Like, even though my siblings weren't they were writing for school, I'm sure, but I don't know. I just thought everybody was doing it. Right. So to be identified, say that again.
You thought it was a thing. Everybody could do
I thought it was just a thing. So to be identified for this thing that I thought was so natural and that everybody was doing was kind of mind-blowing. Like, okay, so for a minute, it's like you're shocked that you get these opportunities. And then I'm like getting bused to a special school and going to all these people's like Fame. It was like an old TV show Fame. And it was so much fun. And I learned so much at a young age about like professionalism and just music in general, and how to be in the spotlight, but not let it be in you, I guess, is really the best way to say it.
Yeah, I get that. When I was younger, I had opportunities. When I was grade, I did go to a private Christian school. And same thing, walking down the hallway, just rapping to myself, or maybe a friend, but not usually. And one of my classmates, we were sugar and honey. We became sugar and honey because, salt and pepper was already taken. But it's like our teacher, our 4th grade teacher, Mr. Aaron Melton, heard us rapping. We used to just do this thing in the cafeteria, sitting at the table, and I'm a percussionist. I'm out the beat. And she would jump in, and we wrote this rap, and we just thought we was gonna be like the hottest thing, but they let us do the whatever the assembly was that was on the calendar. But my pastor at the church that I was at that time was very encouraging and allowed me to do different things. I was always more comfortable writing than I was performing. I still write for people. I enjoy writing for people, but it took me a minute to know that was not that was a gift that I was giving, but that was how I worship. And when I say a minute, I'm talking like full-blown adults. And I think a part of the reason for that was there was a time where it wasn't encouraged. I think, being, first of all, Newark, New Jersey, our proximity to New York, as you can imagine, we're right there. So hip hop is a strong scene. Everybody does something artistically where I'm from. You write, you draw, you do something artistically. So that was my natural environment. When we came down here, it wasn't. And remember, I said my pastor gave me a lot of opportunities. So I just thought I was gonna jump right into that. But Christian rap wasn't popular down here at the I also think women, young females rapping as well probably wasn't the most attractive thing either. So for a while, not only was I not encouraged to do it, I almost felt like, not that anybody said anything directly, but it almost felt like I wasn't supposed to, right? Like I was doing something wrong. And then the switch was, well, I heard you could sing. Well, why don't you do that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I was doing, I've been writing poetry since I was young, and doing music and like imitating people, rappers like MC Light and, Lauryn Hill. But when I felt like God was saying, okay, I want you to move into the rap part of the gift that I've given you, I was hesitant. I'm like, people, I do poetry, I sing occasionally. I was comfortable in that. So for a long time, rapping was not a comfort zone for me. But I remember maybe 6 months after I started rapping, being in the studio, and this was when I was still in the group, and we had gone into someone else's studio, a guy, a very well-known, popular guy, and he looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, you shouldn't rap. You should just stick to poetry." And I mean, he was adamant, like, you can't rap, was what he was telling me.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for you. And I'm so grateful that I didn't listen to him. One, because I just have a spirit where it's like, oh, you telling me what I can't do? Okay, let me do it.
Right.
And two, because I knew what God had told me to do. And there's so many people who know me as a rapper who find out afterwards that I do poetry. Like, I've been on the Billboard charts as a rapper. Like, and I'm not saying the Billboard charts is what, validates you, but like, it's a big deal. Right. So to know that God has opened so many doors through that gift, that if I had just let one person, just like you were saying with your book, Shani, if I had let that one person invalidate what I knew God had told me, because it wasn't something I was chasing after. It wasn't something I wanted to do. I felt like God was like, I need you to step into this role. This is the next thing I have for you. Just like with singing now, like the single that I just released in April, I Don't Break, I'm singing on there, the majority of the song. And I'm like, I grew up singing, but I feel uncomfortable. But God is like, no, I gave you this song. I literally would not let anybody else do it. I need you to do it. Go ahead. And the responses that I've been getting from the song, I'm blown away. So I'm like, I don't think my voice is like Lauryn Hill, you know what I'm saying? But God has been using the song, and people feel connected to it. And just the reminder that the song is called I Don't Break, talking about him. Like, he does not break, no matter what. It doesn't matter what we're facing. He will not break. And to have that song be delivered through me, it's like a big deal, because I would have just ran the other way, like, or I would have gave it. I mean, I was trying to give the song away, and people were like, I think you should sing it. I'm like, you are lying. You did not hear from the Lord. Go back and ask again. But it just kept circling back like a boomerang, and I'm glad it did.
Thank you for being obedient.
Oh, praise
Thank
God.
you. I love that. I love that. I don't know if y'all can hear me because I look frozen. You can? Okay, great.
You're not frozen.
I was like, I look frozen on Zoom, but we're all moving on Facebook. It looks so weird.
Gotcha.
So that's a great way to kind of wrap this conversation up. But before I do that, I do want to shout out Angel for watching. Thank you for watching. Yolanda, thank you for watching. Brian, thank you for watching. Brian sent 10 stars. I have no idea what that means, y'all.
So it's a new thing now when you're live, once you reach a certain number or whatever, people can send stars, and it's a good thing to have.
That's pretty
Thanks
cool.
For supporting, Brian.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Well, thank you for supporting.
Thank you.
I like us to close out with Ty having the last word. If you could close us out, it is National Poetry Month. I would like people to hear how dope you are. If you come prepared, God told you that you was going to do a piece, right? Even if I didn't tell you.
Or like, I need to cut something short. If I have 10 minutes, I'll take it.
We don't go by time here.
We don't.
All right. So, but before I do the poem, I want to say thank y'all for having me on, of course. And I also want to say something that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. So I am nominated for a Gospel Choice Music Award for poet / spoken word artist of the year. And we're in the final round. So I made it to the finals, and I just need one vote from whoever can vote for me, which I hope is everybody. And so if you go to my Instagram, Facebook, we're on Facebook now, you can just click, it's on the link in my bio. And if you'll just give me a vote, it's free. They're not going to ask for anything. You just go on and find me. And
tell everybody your handles.
I am Ty Scott King. My handles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, that I'm not really on much, TikTok, all the things. I am Ty Scott King.
Ty is T-Y.
Yep. TYSCOTTKING, like Coretta.
I am voting for you as we speak.
Thank you, Shani. All right, so
Of course.
I'm gonna do a piece called The Palm of God's Hand. As like pieces fight to come to my brain, this is the one that's one. So I once heard a woman say that she traveled all the way to India to be in the palm of God's hand. But I believe that no matter where we stand, sleep, or sit, we are inscribed in it. According to Isaiah 49, lines 15 through 16, we are existing every moment in his grip, surrounded by his grace. His will is that we do not slip. So I don't flip on my location because I am locked in on God's navigation, and he is with me wherever I go. Chicago, Morocco, Zimbabwe, Montego Bay, all the way back home to Austin today. So I cut out a bunch of stuff just because I feel like that's all God wanted me to say, as just a reminder that we are in the palm of his hand, no matter where we are.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ty. This has
You're
been
welcome.
amazing conversation, just about everything. I think we covered, we went all around and it all worked together for good. And that's one of the things I love about this show. The Sharing with Shani Show highlights ordinary people working for extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. We air every Monday night. We are still looking for special guests. May is full. So when you go to the Shani, you can go to ShaniMcElwain.com and get on the calendar for June. Our guest next week is Reverend Susan Grayson, and she'll talk about answering the call as a second career after being in recovery.
It's like a whole sister act remembrance. So where were you when you got the call? What? The call. Oh, the call. I was in Reno. You remember?
I think Shani is frozen this time.
Frozen now, right? You remember that though, Sister Act 1?
Oh man, I remember Sister Act 1, but Sister Act 2, I'm telling you, that scene with Lauryn Hill and Tanya Blount. Oh yes.
She said, "You take the top, I take the bottom."
Yes. Yes.
You bet.
Yes.
I got the bottom.
Yes.
Let's go.
And when Lauren was crying because she couldn't go to the concert, and when they came out, come and join the chorus, the mighty, mighty. I'm like that. I think I'm gonna go watch that movie right now.
Yes, everybody can do the moves. By the way, what
have you done for me lately?
When she saw her mama in that crowd, though, it's like, I don't know,
I'm
y'all.
gonna get whooped now or later.
Right. You might as well finish. You here? She not gonna forget. Yes.
Well, I just saw that I was made the host, or maybe you were made the host. So Shani is
Probably
gone. So you don't have to close out. You don't have to do the outro.
Yeah, it's you because you was on first.
Ah, okay. So I got to do the outro. No, I'm kidding.
But she's like, this is the share. I should know this by now. This is the sharing show where we share love, light, and something. I don't remember the rest.
Okay. Well,
I just be waiting to be like,
right. Okay. Well, I guess we say goodbye like on any other show.
Yeah. It was
So
great
long.
having you.
Farewell. Thank
Yes.
you.
It's great to be able to experience your gift.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was gonna try to vote for you while we was on, but I don't want to multitask, so I'm gonna do that as soon as we log off.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate
I'm
it.
pretty sure Shani is going to pin that comment where the people can vote for you so that people can do it.
Nice.
Share. We're
Yeah,
praying.
well, I'll drop it in the comments.
Yes. Yeah, do that.
Mhm.
We're praying for all the positive outcomes, but you got it.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me on. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
All right. This is the
Okay.
Sharing with Shani Show. Join us next Monday, y'all. Peace.